It's good to be here this morning on the occasion of the launching of this project, the WAPIS project. The event is very timely. The issues at stake here are very important, and they're growing in importance. And this new information tool which we're launching today, I think, presents real prospects of dealing with the issues, of confronting them in a new and very promising way. Peace and security have been a key part of the partnership between the European Union and Africa, West Africa, Ghana, for several years now. We all realize that insecurity is a threat to the state, but it's also very much a key concern of people. People are concerned about insecurity in the same way that they're concerned about jobs and health and education. It's one of the biggest challenges that West African countries face. And organised crime is a major source of insecurity. It has a security impact through the ordinary crime that it generates and its violence to people's integrity, but certain types of illicit activities such as trafficking in human beings and small arms, light weapons, drugs, falsified medicines, so many of these things have a direct impact on the lives of the ordinary people who are victims. And of course we know that organised crime also fuels the armed conflicts and terrorism which we also find in the region. So there are important effects that we're trying to deal with, but I think it's also good to stress that there are political, economic and social impacts of crime. Last week was a historic one in the world. In New York, the new Sustainable Development Goals were agreed, and that was the end of a long process, and your president is there, the foreign minister is there. The leaders of the world are in New York talking about these new goals, 17 goals in all, which have been agreed to alleviate poverty and reduce inequalities by 2030, and they apply to all countries around the world. You may ask, what is the link between that and what we're doing here in Ghana? But there is a link. There is a link. A report from earlier this year by the Global Initiative Against Organised Crime showed that the effect of insecurity on those new goals is very great. And in fact, all of those goals will be affected because of insecurity, some of them directly, some of them indirectly. So there is a direct link between this work and the new goals that we have all set ourselves as our objectives for the future. Can we measure that? Well, the World Bank has in previous reports measured that organised crime has the same negative effect as armed conflict as an obstacle to development, and that both of these reduce economic and social performance of the affected countries by 20%. So we're dealing with very important issues here. The European Union has decided some time back to take account of this in its development cooperation and to work together with countries around the world to have an organised approach to deal with these questions. And we have a programme called the Cocaine Route Programme. It's a very wide programme, and under that we've been funding this element, WAPIS. It was launched in 2009 and it has a total budget of €50 million up until now. And it's modelled on the flow of cocaine trafficking from Andean countries to Europe through the Caribbean islands and West Africa. And it brings together 38 different countries which need to work together to solve a common problem. And we realise that international cooperation, which we've been doing for a long time, is becoming so much more important to deal with these issues today. And that programme covers all sorts of activities, actions against crime, drug trafficking, seizures and arrests in ports and in airports, criminal investigation, prosecution, as well as money laundering, so many different aspects. And in all of those different aspects that we look at under this programme, there is one essential cross-cutting element, and that's information and intelligence exchange between services and countries. The collection and transmission of the data is the linchpin of the whole exercise in trying to prevent and repress globalized criminality. So that's what brings us here today, that aspect of putting together a system, an electronic information system to help us address it better in the future. And we know that today, much of the law enforcement information in West Africa is still based on paper. It's still a paper trail, and it's spread out amongst different services, and that is an impediment to their working efficiently. So that's why we have responded to the needs, and it was mentioned that there was a meeting in Brussels, and the West African chiefs of police requested our assistance, and we provided assistance. This program is €5 million, and it's being implemented by Interpol, and I'm happy that the people from Interpol in Brussels are here with us also, and from Africa are here today, and also working with ECOWAS. So we're all working together to introduce this important new tool. Now, I don't need to explain, you probably know all about it, many of you, what's in this tool, but I want to just mention perhaps three things in conclusion, three simple messages. The first one is, I would like to praise the efforts of the 4 countries who supported this initiative from the beginning, and that's Benin and Mali and Niger, and of course Ghana, our host today. You've volunteered to be the pilot for this project, and that shows your dynamism in confronting the security challenges which we're faced with. You've played the role of leadership at the region, and we are cooperating very closely with you, and we're very grateful for that cooperation. The second thing is that we need to move to implementation and achieve implementation as quickly as possible. Of course, today we're launching, and that's something we can celebrate, but there's a lot that lies ahead of us, and this is one part of it. This is the beginning. It's a breakthrough, but there's much more that needs to be done. We need to replicate, to reproduce this program in the 11 other ECOWAS countries and ensure that interconnectivity at the regional level. Until we get there, we won't have completed the job. So this is a very good start. And to do that, we need to have this work validated by the West African Police Chiefs Committee at its upcoming annual meeting. So I'd call on all of you, I'd call on particularly those who are volunteers, those who are the pilots and who are demonstrating that this is the way forward, to be ambassadors for this program and to convince the others to move ahead. We don't really have the luxury of time. Crime moves ahead, crime knows no borders, and we have to work together to address it. And finally, we have this new modern technological tool. It's part of the solution. Exchanging data is important, but for it to really work, for the technology to work, we need people to cooperate and work together, and that's not always the easiest part. Working together, we know this in the European Union, and you know this in ECOWAS. It requires a lot of work, a lot of persuasion, a lot of people seeing the common interest and not just their own interest. It requires perhaps a change in mindset. So that, I think, is perhaps the biggest challenge, to get everybody to see the wider picture. Working at a national level is important, working between services at a national level is important, but then extending it between countries and wider is the key. I'd like to conclude with an African proverb which says, if you want to go fast, walk alone. If you want to go far, walk with others. And I believe today we want to go far, so we have to work together. So whether it's working here in Ghana between the services and exchanging information, whether it's working between Ghana and the other countries, Benin, Niger, Mali, and the wider, and whether it's working between Europe and the African Union, this is a very important part of our future work. What we're doing today is good, so I thank you for your attention. I congratulate your services on the work accomplished, and I wish everyone the best of success for the future of this endeavour. Thank you.